Welcome back, ladies and gentlemen. This is Weeknights. I am JD, aka He Who Pods. Glasses on today, so also rearview mirror. And I survived the heat wave. I can't even talk. This happens when you don't pod for a few days. The heat wave was wild in the East Coast, in the New York, New Jersey area. It was pretty gangster. 103 degrees at one point. Felt like it was 112. It's bananas. And look like it's gonna be a real hot summer. But I couldn't pod one day, and another day I just thought it was best to cancel. People were losing power, all type of stuff was going on. The grid was overwhelmed, and different places were shutting down, losing power, etc. And I figured probably best to sit a pod out. And then the other day, I was unable. But I'm here, and got some interesting things to share. Dash will be with us in a few minutes as well. And let's get right to it. So here is someone who I love to get information from, and someone who I've spoken about on my other podcast, Under the Desk News. Under the Desk News is great at reporting things and being very informative, minute to minute updates sometimes. And this post is from Under the Desk News. If you don't already, you should try to give them a follow on TikTok or Instagram. But I'd like to play this for y'all and then discuss it a bit.
Oh my God, I'm like shaking. I'm at this AI conference in San Francisco and I had to come out to the car to make this one. Here's something you're not going to see on the mainstream media. The CEO of Spotify just invested $690 million into a military AI company. The company is called Helsig, and they produce drones, aircraft, submarines, and stuff like that for military use. And if you're like, great, just what we needed, more investment in the American military industrial complex. No. This is an investment in Europe's military. Especially with how erratic the United States has been behaving lately, Europe is now trying to amp up their technological sovereignty and are scaling AI-driven defense systems. And while the U.S. tends to invest in big, huge helicopters and airplanes and ammunition, they seem to be investing mostly in drones and intelligence systems. This is just one of the things that's freaking people out about Spotify. There's a couple other not popular things going on. And their attempt to compete with YouTube, which was streaming podcasts. Now you can stream podcasts on Spotify. It is rising their carbon footprint. There are also allegations that they have a bit of an X-rated content problem. And U.S. senators are calling on the Federal Trade Commission to investigate Spotify for trying to once again cheap out and reduce the royalties owed to singers and songwriters. He thinks the cost of making content is close to zero.
I'm going to pause it there. There's more video. If you want to hear it, go check out V's page, Under the Desk News. So one of the things you wouldn't see, because you're seeing me if you're watching this, and I just played the audio of the video, is in the beginning there, when V is saying that the CEO of Spotify invested in that military company, she posted a screenshot, and it says here, Spotify CEO Daniel Ek becomes chairman of AI military startup. So he's not just investing a ton of money, he's also the chairman or a chairman on this company's board. So that makes it a bigger deal than just him investing, because that means he is sitting on the board and making or helping make big decisions in that company. And so that could definitely affect the things going on at Spotify as well, because we don't know how much he's going to blend the two agendas. Now, I don't know how you blend AI military with music and streaming, but it doesn't mean that it's impossible. And so I think, if nothing else, that alone is something to continue to pay attention to. And then we move forward to the next piece of this. And she put up another screenshot of a study. It says, study is looking at the little video clip Spotify plays with certain songs, and it's showing that they are increasing their carbon footprint through video streaming. And that's another thing to keep an eye on. Them trying to compete with YouTube more and more is also very interesting, as we have seen that not only have they invested heavily into streaming, they've into podcasting. They've kind of overhauled the podcasting industry and are like the number one player in the podcasting industry. And the next piece is even more interesting. There's an article that V put up a screenshot of that says there seems to be X-rated content and that are on the platform. It says here, our podcast critics stumbled across an array of X-rated content on Spotify. And so I guess this is referring to podcasts, which I think is interesting because my solo podcast could be considered X-rated depending on how this narrative is painted. And so I think that is another interesting piece to it. What is considered X-rated and does or does it not belong on the Spotify platform? I'm sure that if enough buzz is created around that piece or that part of this video, then Spotify will address it and possibly even make changes to the way the podcasting platform works over there. And that too is very interesting. But to me, most interesting of all is that senators are calling on Spotify to be investigated. And that's another screenshot V put up. It says senators call on U.S. Federal Trade Commission to investigate Spotify. The streaming giant has been accused of trying to lower songwriter royalty payouts by reclassifying its bundles. And so we've spoken up here about bundles before and how they work, how they affect sales, etc. And so this is something that we should all be keeping an eye on, whether you're a fan of music, a creator of music, or just someone interested in the business side of things, because all of that is intertwined and affected here. So I thought this was a great piece of content to share and discuss here on this platform, because there seems to be a lot of pieces to this that could affect artists and everyday people alike. So I just wanted to share that with you guys. Spotify is constantly doing things and they don't always get spoken about in the press. As V said, you're probably not going to hear much about this in other places, which is why I felt it was my duty to come up here, share it, and discuss it a little bit. So that's what's going on over at Spotify. Again, go check out Under the Desk News. This is not an ad. I just think we should support creators who are doing dope things. And V is constantly sharing important things with her audience. And speaking of dope things, a movie came out recently that I thought I would like to discuss, review. And that movie is 28 Years Later. Now, 28 Years Later is the third movie of the franchise 28 Days Later. You got 28 Days Later, 28 Weeks Later, and now 28 Years Later. Now, 28 Years Later came out way after the last movie. Matter of fact, let me pull it up so I could give you the exact date of the last film. The last film, 28 Weeks Later, came out in 2007. So almost 20 years later, almost, it came out just this past weekend when I'm recording this, and I was able to see it. I saw 28 Years Later. I've also seen the other two films. It's a cool franchise. And so this is the first time that they have done one in quite some time, as you can see. And it was in theaters, and I was able to go check it out. I thought it was a solid film. I thought it was good, but not great. They did a lot of interesting things in this film. This is about a specific community that is kind of isolated and different from where the story took place in the other movies. Clearly, a lot of time has passed, and we fast forward to this moment in the future. We see how this community is thriving. You get to learn about their rules and how they live life and all of those things. And Aaron Taylor Johnson, I believe is his name. Yes, Aaron Taylor Johnson is his name. He is pitched as the star of the movie, and it kind of is until midway through the movie, and then it kind of changes to the character who's his son in the film. And one can argue his son was truly the main character throughout the entire film. It's a really interesting story, but I think making the child the focal point of the movie kind of does it a disservice. I see that they tried to focus more on story than just a zombie crazy movie. And I appreciate that. I think that's part of what makes the movie good, because we all knew that there was going to be zombies and crazy stuff. They introduced new types of zombies as well. And I thought that was really cool how they did it. It's a lot of interesting concepts. There are challenges to different ideologies in the film. And I thought that was great too, because we see these characters challenging ideologies and challenging each other in different ways. And I always think that's cool to say, like, well, this is how it has to be. And then someone else was like, I mean, does it really have to be that way? I don't know. So I thought that was really cool. But the film dragged a bit. And I think there were just some pieces that could have been improved upon. Overall, I thought it was a good movie. I don't want to drag this because it's like a zombie, fun movie. It's not really like not like I went to go see Oppenheimer and there's, tons and tons of pieces to dissect. Um I just thought overall it was cool. I enjoyed it. It was good enough to rewatch. But for me, not good enough to buy and own, unless you're a huge fan of that franchise. They what I did think was cool was they clearly are setting up another film with the way it ended. I won't say how it ended, but I thought that was interesting too. And it made me more curious of how they're gonna do that because I truly did not like the last scene of the movie. I thought it was kind of whack, but it does leave things. It makes it pretty clear where they're going next, like in the sense that they're gonna do another film. And so it did make me curious, like, all right, well, if that's what you're gonna do, how are you gonna do it? Perhaps this was less about doing a third film and more about pushing the franchise forward in a way where they can continue. That I understand and respect. And I appreciate that they didn't just waste a film. Like, for example, the last Planet of the Apes film was pretty much a waste of a film. It only existed to get us to the next film. It will not be remembered at all, probably, in history. It just was a vehicle to get you to the next film. It really didn't do shit else. This one did establish multiple things. It was entertaining. It was memorable, and it wasn't just like, all right, let's just hurry up and get to the next thing. They didn't do a bunch of random shit that didn't make sense. They didn't drag it out, for this long ass movie. Today a lot of movies are like 2 hours, 2 hours and 20 minutes. This film, I don't even think it's 2 hours. Yep, an hour and 56 minutes according to the AMC app. So yeah, it was under 2 hours. They didn't try to stretch it out and make it this long drawn out thing. And I appreciate that because today you can tell when you go to the movies and some movies are simply just trying to drag things out and make them like a 2 hour, 2 hour and a half, 2.5 hour movie. So I appreciate that they did not do that. Yeah, so I mean, if I had to give it a number, probably 7, 7.5. It's a cool film. I didn't do my chart breakdown. I've been doing bad with that. I got to do that. So the next movie I review, I'll try my best to do that and break it down to y'all category by category. But the special effects were good. The horror theme was definitely there. Um, and also just like cool sci-fi as well, because we all know this is not just horror; it's like horror sci-fi. So I think they check those boxes off pretty well as well. Yeah, that's it. That's my review for 28 years later. Time for the dash topic of the day.
With me, Dash.
That's right. She too survived the heat wave.
Barely. I mean, I'm sweating right now. But I'm hanging in there. It's especially hard when you're cooped up in the house because you're recovering from something. Um, because you can't escape to the normal places you would go to cool down. Not to say that,
Right.
I have AC and whatever, and I'm grateful for that. But, sometimes you want to like get out the house and just go somewhere where they have that central air on full blast.
Yeah,
So that's been a little challenging. But other than that, yeah, I mean, I feel like we all survived the heat wave. Yeah. And we're back. We had to take a little break. We had to take a little heat wave hiatus.
we sure did.
It was
We
too
sure
much.
did. And, there was some other heat that came out. It wasn't just the 103-degree days.
Right.
So it's your time. You introduce it.
Okay. I'm surprised to hear you call it heat.
I listen. I know I come out here and give a lot of hate off, but I also try to give props where props are due.
And I appreciate that about you. It's just that even when I said, I think you're going to like this, you said, we'll see. And, it didn't seem like you were confident in my suggestion. I thought by now you would know that I only send you things that you might like, unless I'm saying, hey, I don't think you're going to like this, but here it is.
Right.
I feel like I'm usually spot on with that. So Tiny Desk happened. We're talking about Tiny Desk again because Beenie Man was on Tiny Desk.
That's right.
This was one that I was really looking forward to. I'm sorry, I'm like sweating like crazy. This
Okay.
was one
that I was really looking forward to. Um, in a world of pop and R&B and hip hop and etc etc etc, I always find it nice when there's some reggae in the mix because culturally it makes sense. I am a child of Guyanese parents. We listen to a lot of reggae. I grew up on a lot of reggae and soca, and so it's nice when some of the people you grew up on, you see them in this type of way. So I
Right.
was really excited about this. Also, coming off of, not that it was recent, but coming off of the verses that he had participated in, he did a really good job and it was really entertaining. And so I felt like this was going to be entertaining as well. I've never seen him live, so I couldn't speak to how he performs, but I
Right.
always feel like he's a great performer when I do see clips and videos of shows that he might have done. I'm always like, it would be nice to go see Beenie Man because he seems like he's really into the music and he's a great performer and he's good at what he does and he sounds great. Sound is important.
Yes. Yes. Yes, it is. If it's just one thing.
People out here trying to go a cappella in these streets. Did you a cappella? Girl. Anyway, back to Beanie Man. We're not gonna do that today. But I watched it. I thought it was great. From the first two songs, I was like, this is gonna be a whole vibe. I love what's going on here. The sound was good. The band was good. He sounded great. The transitions from one song to the next were perfect, which is not an easy feat when you're trying to squeeze these songs into what was it, 18 minutes or 20 minutes, something like that.
17.
Okay, 17 minutes. So it's a lot of pressure to go to Tiny Desk. I commend all the artists that have done it over the years because it is such an intimate setting and it is going to be on the internet. But I thought he killed it. I thought he did great. At one point, I see they've been breaking the fourth wall. They pan to the employees. You could see which ones are Caribbean. It was very it was very obvious, which I totally understand. It was like in college when I would go to parties and there would be a New York DJ. That was the only time you heard reggae. If there was a New York DJ, even though we weren't in New York, and the reggae would come on and people would scatter, but all the Caribbean kids would stay. Or somebody who just wanted to catch a dub, But because you got those dudes who are like, I could be Jamaican today.
That's it.
But yeah, it reminded me of that. But I thought it was cool that people were into it. They were vibing. They were having a good time. But yeah, what did you think? You watched it too, and you don't
I,
like Tiny Desk. So what did you think?
well, I came up here and we spoke about A. Marie
Uh huh.
the other day, and I gave Tiny Desk props. I said,
Mm-hmm.
hey, look, actually, I went back and looked. They look like they're giving people around 20 now, only to see Beanie Man get 17 minutes and 9 seconds.
Uh huh.
I said, come on, man. I was just giving y'all props.
I don't know why I thought it was 20 minutes, but
And look at what you go and do. You go short the man
mm-hmm.
who got 187 number one hits.
Yeah,
We're going to get back to that. But
a very talented man.
we're going to get back to that. But I thought it was great. I, too, off just the first couple minutes, was like, okay, I see that this is going to be fun. I see that I'm not going to have many complaints here. And actually, I don't have any complaints. This was great. It was great to hear Beanie Man live. Never heard him live. Never was able to see a full Beanie Man performance just like you. He's been doing it forever.
Mm-hmm.
And he ran through everything. I was really hyped when he said, okay, okay, now the remix. I said, giving us both versions, okay?
Yeah.
So I thought this was great. I don't have any complaints. I do have two
It's getting
questions though.
okay. I was gonna say it's getting a lot of praise online too. I've seen a lot of very complimentary think pieces, posts of the performance. People seem to really enjoy it, so I'm glad that he's getting feedback that aligns with the work he did.
He did a great job. Again, I echo all your same sentiments. The band sounded great. The backup singer sounded great. Beanie Man sounded great. I mean, he was going great breath control for a man in his. He's like
He
he
was
was doing
dancing.
his thing.
He was whining a little bit. He
Just
was,
having a
he was
blast.
engaging.
He was in his element. That is for
Oh yeah,
sure.
yeah, yeah. He
And the
he
band was having
performed like
fun. They were
someone.
smiling and playing.
Right. He performed like someone. Oh yes, the band members. Because people always look at the band members. The band members looked pleased, like yes, okay, you know what I mean. But he performs like someone who's been performing for years, right? He
Yep,
performs like someone who's seasoned and who knows what they're doing, and all you got to do is tell them where you need them to be and what time, and
that's
he
it.
knows what to do. He doesn't need a whole lot of instruction, and I appreciated that about it too.
Yeah. I mean, again, no complaints. But I do have two questions. Number one, Beenie Man said he put out his first album at 10 years old. Where is the 10-year-old Beenie Man album?
Well, when Beanie Man was 10, it was probably circulating in Jamaica.
No, no, I'm not saying it doesn't exist. I'm just saying, where's it at? I want to hear it. I want to hear the 10-year-old Beenie Man album. What does that sound like?
my guess is my guess is it hasn't or cannot be converted to stream.
I mean, we got records from the 30s on streaming. So
I
I'm
understand.
curious. I mean, what does Beanie Boy sound like? You know what I'm saying?
Right. But
That's my first.
that's why I'm saying
Okay.
has not or cannot. Maybe it can't, but also maybe it just hasn't been done.
Yeah, I'm curious about this. If anybody knows about the 10-year-old Beanie Man album, let me know. I'm curious. No, serious, no shade.
No,
I'm like 10 years old.
I know you're
That's
serious.
super fly. Where is that? And the second thing is not so fly. Beanie Man has 187 number one hits.
I don't know
Number
if
one
that's
on what charts?
I would assume reggae charts.
All right, I gotta look into this because I'm not a hater. I'm not. I am a
Who
hater.
said
So let
this?
me
He
be
said
clear.
that?
He said it out of his own mouth in that
Oh,
same
I'm not
in that
remembering.
same in that same part where he's talking about how long he's been doing music. He says, "I got 187 hits, so we just gonna keep going." And I rewound it because I was
Did
like,
he
"No, no, no,
say
I
hits
didn't."
or did he say number ones? Because a hit and a number one are different.
He said, "I got 100." Listen, it doesn't matter to me. He said he has 187, and so I just want to know on what charts so I could find this and confirm this because I know Beanie Man is that dude. I'm not doubting that, but 187 is
I
a
mean, if you started
large
at
number.
10,
It is a large number.
yeah, it
So
is a large number.
again, that has nothing to do with Tiny Desk.
No,
I just have questions. That's all. Just the curious mind
I mean,
of
I think you
JD.
should research it. Come back and tell the class.
Yeah, because where are the 187 hits? I would like to. I'm not saying listen, we saw he's got hits, and we know he could have
Mhm.
definitely did another 30 minutes
Absolutely,
of
easy, very
records.
easily, and people would have had a great
Not
time.
not doubting that. But
Yep.
187 is a big ass number.
Yes.
So that's it. I'm just curious about this 187.
No, I understand.
I question that. It's kind of like when Jim Jones said check the Billboard charts. I got more Billboard. My Billboard charts are better than Nas. It's kind of like, huh? Are we sure? Anybody want to check that? Sounds a little weird to me.
Right.
That's all.
No, I hear you. I understand. I understand, but that's fair. It's like when Cat Williams says he reads a million books,
A
and
thousand.
no, I said a million on purpose. It was hyperbole.
Okay,
I didn't want to get into the nitty gritty of that conversation again, so I said something outlandish,
got it.
even though it was already outlandish.
I understand. Ladies and
Happy to
gentlemen,
be here. And now I must go because the timer of discomfort, the discomfort timer is going off.
I was already getting us out of here. Don't even worry.
Please do
Ladies
your
and
thing.
gentlemen, ladies and gentlemen, this has been Weeknights. Thank you for being here. Hopefully, we see you tomorrow.
Hopefully.
Bye.
Bye.